Coming to you live from Central Park for some quick impressions on the new Candied Shalimar Millésime Iris. When I first heard about this, I was pretty excited. I've skipped the other Shalimar versions as tonka and vanilla are not my favorite notes, and I assumed they might go in an overly sweet direction. But when I heard Iris, I thought, now that sounds exciting. Unfortunately, this one goes in an extremely sweet direction. It lists caramel in the notes, and that had concerned me, and listening to some reviews. Still, I was tempted to blind buy it, but I decided to run into the city and see if I could test it out first at Saks. At Saks they had sold out, but they had a tester and said they would be restocking. So here it is. And I've got to say, unfortunately, the Iris poofs away quite quickly at the beginning. And what I'm left with overwhelmingly is the signature sweetness of ethyl maltol. It reminds me of Angel. I recently picked up a small 50 ml of Amen just for its iconic status. And I gotta say that one is on the verge of too sweet for me. So knowing my taste, I generally don't have much tolerance for sweetness. You may enjoy it if you do like quite sweet perfumes, especially if you like a honey custard aspect. Don't particularly get vanilla, but very much a burnt caramel. That's the problem with some of these aroma chemicals. I'm sure there's many differences between this and Angel, but it's just so strong that that character kind of dominates the fragrance. I also sprayed the original Shalimar while I was there, and I gotta say I like that considerably more. It's a lot sharper and brighter at the beginning. This one does have a soft coziness to it, but again, for me, any perfume you might describe as yummy, that's usually a trigger word that I'm not going to like it, and I call it very yummy, sweet, almost like vanilla caramel custard, or like a flan. It smells like a flan to me. So the Iris is, if it's there, it's only at the very top and kind of smoothing things over. It's not present to me at all in the base notes. So glad I dodged a bullet here. I wanted to give my opinion just to hopefully save others from FOMO or a bad blind buy if they jumped on this. While I was there, I also tried tobacco honey. Seems Candied has a real sweet tooth lately. Very, very, very sweet. Smells just like opening up a honey jar. Realistic on the honey side, but I wish it had more tobacco or smoke. It does have a bit of that kind of wet chewing tobacco smell to me. It's not dry, it's very sweet, dripping in honey. I think the imagery for this one is spot on, but again, not for me. Not sure why Candied has such a sweet tooth lately. But I gotta say, this new Shalimar, it really starts to smell cheap in the base. Just like an average, cheap, kind of yummy, gourmand kind of thing that you could find at Sephora. I suppose it has a little more refinement, a little more smoothness. If I squint, I can get a little bit of the leatheriness that's described in Shalimar, like a suede leather. But yeah, for me, it's a big no. Glad I got to try it first. I'll probably go home and wash it off, so that's why I wanted to give a quick impression now. Interestingly, the original Shalimar is a lot quieter in the dry down, whereas it's louder in the opening. And it starts to get vintage. I'm starting to get a little of that mossy aspect I smell in a lot of classic perfumes. So the newer one, due to the newer aroma chemicals, softer, smoother, longer lasting, doesn't go into that vintage base. Quite different, I think. So it wouldn't be redundant to own both, but for me, I'll go with the original.